Most people look at a .22 Magnum and laugh. It is small, it is light, it does not look like something you would take seriously. And that right there is the biggest mistake a shooter can make. Because this tiny round has numbers behind it that will change how you think about it forever. Speed, penetration, accuracy, and stopping power that goes way beyond what the size suggests. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why the .22 Magnum deserves far more respect than it gets. Winchester built this cartridge in 1959. The goal was simple. Farmers and pest control workers needed something stronger than the .22 long rifle, but smaller and lighter than a full centerfire round. The .22 LR was not always enough, and centerfire rifles were overkill for close work. Winchester took the older .22 Winchester Rimfire case from 1890 and stretched it. By lengthening the case by just 0.090 of an inch and thickening the walls, they were able to load more powder and push it to higher pressure. The result was a round that could do things the .22 LR never could. Interestingly, Winchester built the cartridge before they had a rifle ready for it. The Marlin Levermatic was actually the first rifle chambered for the .22 Magnum in 1959 because its design was easy to modify. Smith & Wesson and Ruger had revolvers on the market almost right away. Winchester's own Model 61 slide-action rifle did not arrive until 1960. That is how much demand there was. Gunmakers were racing to chamber a round that Winchester had not even fully rolled out yet. The round quickly became known as the .22 WMR, the .22 Mag, the .22 Win Mag, and the .22 Magnum. All the same cartridge, just different names. By 1963, Kodiak had produced the first semi-automatic rifle for it with the Model 260. It stands out as the only truly successful new rimfire cartridge introduced in the late 20th century. Here is where most people get it wrong. They see .22 on the box and assume it performs like a .22 LR. It does not even close. The original factory load fired a 40-grain bullet at 2,000 feet per second from a rifle barrel. Modern loads today go from 30 grains at 2,200 feet per second all the way down to 50 grains at 1,530 feet per second. That is a wide range that lets shooters pick exactly what they need. Now compare that to the .22 LR. At 50 yards, the .22 Magnum delivers 215 foot-pounds of energy. The .22 LR delivers 113 foot-pounds at the same distance. That is nearly double the energy downrange. With a 40-grain bullet, the .22 Magnum carries about 60% more velocity than the .22 LR, and roughly 2.5 times the muzzle energy. Here is the number that really stands out. The .22 Magnum can maintain the same velocity at 100 yards that the .22 LR only reaches at the muzzle. Think about what that means. While the .22 LR is already running out of steam at distance, the .22 Magnum is still hitting with the same punch it started with at close range. The case itself operates at a maximum pressure of 24,000 pounds per square inch. While that is actually the same peak pressure limit as the .22 LR, the .22 Magnum's larger case capacity allows manufacturers to load more powder and sustain that pressure longer to push velocity to levels impossible for the older cartridge. The longer and thicker case walls safely handle this extended pressure curve without failing. The effective range for hunting and pest control sits at around 125 yards in the hands of a skilled shooter. For small game, most experts put that closer to 100 yards with careful shot placement. The trajectory is flatter, the bullet drops less, and the round stays accurate farther out than anything else in the rimfire category. The .22 Magnum also works across almost every type of firearm you can think of. Bolt-action rifles, lever-action rifles, semi-automatic rifles, pump-action rifles, revolvers, and single-shot platforms. If you can name a firearm action type, there is almost certainly a version chambered in .22 WMR. That versatility across platforms is part of why the round stayed relevant for over 6 decades while other rimfire attempts quietly disappeared. And recoil? Nearly zero. The increase over the .22 LR is so small that it is considered meaningless by almost every expert who has tested it. You get significantly more power with no practical change in how the gun handles. Speed alone does not tell the full story. What matters is what the bullet does when it gets there. Bullets for the .22 Magnum are not bare lead slugs like many .22 LR rounds. They come with copper jacketing and are available as hollow points and polymer tip designs from manufacturers like CCI, Hornady, Remington, and Federal. That jacketing controls how the bullet opens up on impact, which produces a far more effective wound channel than the uncoated rounds found in most .22 LR loads. In ballistic gel testing, the .22 Magnum consistently outperforms smaller cartridges that many people consider more serious. In one widely cited test, the .22 Magnum fired from a handgun reached 12.5 inches of penetration in gel, with the bullet actually reversing direction inside the block. That is not a weak round behaving like a weak round. Federal released their Punch .22 WMR load specifically for defensive carry. It is a 45-grain jacketed hollow point designed to hit 1,000 feet per second from short barrels. Hornady has the critical defense. Speer has the gold dot. Winchester has the PDX-1. These are not hunting rounds dressed up with a new label. These are purpose-built loads engineered to perform inside the FBI gel standards, from compact revolvers and pistols. The Ruger LCR, chambered in .22 Magnum, holds 6 rounds. It is lightweight, easy to carry, and manageable for anyone who struggles with the recoil of a .38 Special. The Keltec PMR-30 carries 30 rounds of .22 Magnum in a semi-automatic platform. That is 30 rounds of a cartridge that hits harder than .25 ACP in a gun that weighs almost nothing and allows fast, accurate follow-up shots. Then in 2022, Walther entered the picture with the WMP, the Walther Magnum pistol. It runs a 4.5-inch barrel, holds 15 rounds, ships with an optics-ready slide, and was built specifically for .22 WMR. Smith & Wesson followed with a 30-round M&P variant. The market does not chase rounds that do not work. When serious gun companies invest in full-size defensive platforms built around a cartridge, that cartridge has earned its place. There are honest limits to name. From very short barrels under 2 inches, the .22 Magnum loses enough velocity that its edge over .22 LR shrinks noticeably. It is not a replacement for 9mm. The energy gap between the two is real and significant. Anyone who tells you the .22 Magnum competes with a 9mm is not being straight with you. But that is not the argument. The argument is that this cartridge is far more capable than the gun community gives it credit for, and the data backs that up completely. There is one more thing most shooters never hear about. Several of the top .22 Magnum defensive loads use flash-retarding powder. If you ever have to fire in low light or darkness, the muzzle blast will not blind you. That is a real engineering choice baked into the design, and it shows how seriously ammunition makers are treating this cartridge for defensive use. Where the .22 Magnum has always had a strong footing is in the field. Squirrels, rabbits, turkeys, prairie dogs, groundhogs, foxes, and snakes are all well within range. The cartridge is clean on small game out to 100 yards and effective on varmints out to 125 yards with the right load and the right shooter. What makes it especially practical for hunters is the combination of effective range and low noise compared to centerfire options. It is loud enough to be taken seriously, but quiet enough that you are not rattling the whole property with every shot. It also causes less meat damage on small game than faster centerfire rounds, which matters when you are hunting for the table rather than pest control. The .22 Magnum is specifically called out in serious survival literature as a top-tier choice because of what it can do across multiple roles. It is small enough to carry in large quantities. It is effective enough to take small game cleanly. And in a situation where no better option is available, it is capable enough to serve in a defensive role when fired accurately and repeatedly. For survival and backcountry use, the .22 Magnum checks almost every box. Firearms chambered for it are available in extremely lightweight and compact configurations. The dual-cylinder revolver concept, where one gun ships with both a .22 LR and a .22 WMR cylinder, gives a single firearm 2 completely different performance levels depending on what the situation calls for. That kind of flexibility is hard to match. Ammunition availability is solid. It is not as easy to find as .22 LR, but it is stocked at most sporting goods stores and widely available online. Modern loads are consistent, reliable, and made to tight tolerances by every major manufacturer currently producing rimfire ammunition. The .22 Magnum has been around since 1959, and most shooters have been sleeping on it the whole time. The speed is real, the penetration is real, the accuracy at distance is real, and the modern defensive loads prove that manufacturers are no longer treating this as just a varmint round. Whether you are hunting small game, thinking about a lightweight carry option, or building a versatile survival setup, the .22 Magnum belongs in that conversation. It always did. Most people just were not paying attention. Now you are.